In this video, we're going to be removing this person right here, just like that. And then once that person is out, we'll replace that person with somebody else like I have right here. And if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, click on share, click on subscribe, check out my channel for a bunch more Photoshop Elements videos, and take a look at my complete training courses for Photoshop Elements, and there are links right down there in the description. We'll start this process by closing down this file, and here is the original image. And the first thing we need to do is to remove this person in here, and we'll do this using the Content Aware Fill. And for that, I'll always make a copy of the background, right click and duplicate layer, choose OK. There we go. That's just a safety. In case we mess up, we can always go back to that background layer and start over again from that point. Okay, in here, I'm going to zoom in a bit on this. How about that far is probably good enough. So I'll use the polygonal lasso tool, which gives me the most control, and I'll set my feathering here at 1 pixel. And I want to make a selection around here that's just about that far away, not touching, not too close, but also not too far away. And let's just go around the whole figure. And if you come down to an edge like this, just hold the space bar down, get you the move hand. You can then move things, let go, and then continue on around. Okay, go back to your starting point. Right there, there's the selection. We can now go up to the edit and come down to fill selection and then choose Content Aware Fill right there. Everything else is set out to defaults. Choose OK, and let's see how we did. Not too bad. I'm going to zoom out to fit screen. Looks pretty good down here. Looks really bad right there. I'll have to fix that. Let's just deselect. Okay, not too bad. Maybe it's a bit soft right down here. We'll take care of that as well. There's a second shadow right here. We'll leave that one in. Let's work on the sky first. To zoom in just a bit. Now the trick on doing a sky is to do several passes on this. Now notice that it's a gradient and it kind of runs this way, also kind of runs that way. It's almost like a radial gradient in here. That makes it very, very difficult to do a clone stamp, but that's what we have to be working with. So here's our clone stamp tool. You want a soft edge, and then bring this up to a pretty good size, about like that to start. We'll be doing a couple of passes on this. And then examine kind of where the clone is. Use the Alt key to select a point right here, and then just paste in. Now it's not going to be perfect, and you do want to do several passes on this. So several times, just tap between new spot and move that over and do the best you can in here to get a good mesh. You just want to just kind of begin to clean this up. It's not going to look perfect yet, but it's a start. And as I start from the top here, I can get a little bit better in here. And it's looking not too bad at this point. Not perfect yet, but it's not too bad. It's almost believable. It's a lot better than it was. Okay, that's our first pass. Now let's go back and make the brush size twice as big. I'll just make this 150. And I'm going to take a spot out here and then come in and do a little more around those edges, just kind of blending things in a bit better. Now it goes kind of a weird gray over here. I'm going to ignore that. We're going to actually take some of that out. So I'm just extending this out a bit further, a little nicer. Let's just do a little bit now right down along the bottom, kind of bring that bottom bit in here. I'm just taking it to straight across. There we go. Let's now make the brush size twice as big again. Much larger brush. And just over here and just pull this in a bit further. Like that. And pull it clear across the top as well. And I'm going to move this up a bit and over. We want to go clear to the edge on this. Here we go. Just kind of blending that in carefully. There it is. I'm going to find a spot where I can grab that without getting that arm in there. There we go. Just kind of blending in the bottom here. And that looks pretty good. Just a little more across there. And let's see how that looks. Let's go back here to our zoom tool and fit screen. Okay, that looks nice and believable. The whole trick there again is to do several passes. Now there's a bit of a texture difference in here. Since we have some grain happening over here and it's real clean over here. So you may want to try to minimize that as much as possible. So go up to filter, come down to noise, and let's just do a despeckle first, see what that does. Can't do much about that, but there is one thing which we can do, and that's simply to continue with our clone stamp. So I'll go over here, grab some of this, and I'm just going to pull it across the other side. Just a little bit here. Trying to stay away from his head as much as I can there. And I'll leave those clouds in. Just go a little bit like that in there on the clouds. And that looks pretty believable now, I think. And there we go. That just kind of helps to clean the sky up a little bit. And there's one more thing I want to fix here. That's that crane in the back. Let's just zoom in on that. And I'll grab the clone stamp tool again. Using a much smaller size here, 17 pixels. I'll just grab some sky from right here and then just put that right on top. Do the same thing from this side. There we go. And back to fit on screen. I think it looks nice. Let me just check up here. Make sure I didn't get into the hair. Nope, that's okay. Okay, so there we go. We have now removed that one person. Let's just go ahead and take a look at that. There's with the person and there's without. We've also cleaned the sky up quite a bit. So that's a bit of an improvement. It is a bit light here on this person right in there. I'm seeing a bit of lightness. You can see we've kind of lost a little bit as we did our sky fix. So I want to bring some of that back in again. And we can do that fairly easy. Let's just go in here to our background layer right here. And I'm going to just copy from here and paste onto our top layer. This is a fun, easy trick for doing a quick repair like this. So I'll grab my polygonal lasso tool and I'm going to come in just right up next to our subject here. It doesn't need to be perfect. And let's just take just the top torso section in here and right around the arm. You can actually use this trick to make a real clean background. You remove this person as well and then go back in and put them back in again. But I'll just do just the top here. This is all we actually need on this. This will work out just fine. And work around this side. So I'm not making a really perfect selection. I'm just staying just a little ways outside. Because I'm putting this right on top of the same picture, you're not even going to see this. We're just bringing back in a little bit of that we lost when we were doing our sky cleaning step. So right around the ear up here and up around the hair. There we go, just outside. There we are. And then make sure you're on the right layer. Here's our background layer right there. There we go. And then edit, copy. Let's now show our top layer, deselect, and here's the important step, edit. And you want to be pasting this, get our move tool, and let's just move them right back into position. And we'll double check it down here. And that looks like that's pretty good. If we move over here, you can see it's kind of off like that. Let's just bring them right back into position. You may need to use your cursor keys to tap up and down or not. I think we've got it exactly on spot there. So there we go. Let's click outside of that. And that's perfect. That then fixes that little bit of lightning that we had in here on the figure. I'm now just going to merge these two layers together. Right click and let's merge those layers. There we go. That's all taken care of. Okay, so we've now removed that person on the right hand side and we've also fixed the sky and taken care of that little bit of a problem over here with that crane in the background. So that's all good. First half of this project is now finished. Now to put somebody else in the picture here, we'll have to find the right photograph. It has to have the same basic sun, same basic lighting, same basic time of day, a lot of those things for it to match, otherwise it's going to look fake. Now I found one, it's not quite perfect, but we can do a small adjustment to make it pretty good. And it's right up here, there we go. As you can see, pretty good. It's a little less contrast in here, but basically the same kind of an idea. So we need to take the person out of this and place her into that one. Now the easy way to do that is just to take this background layer here. If you don't have floating windows like this, it's a real good thing to have set up. Go up to Edit, come down to Preferences and General, and make sure that this checkbox right here is checked, Allow Floating Documents in Expert Mode, and choose OK. Now I can just grab the background and drag it over here, drop it on top, and there we go. Let's go ahead and get her about the right size. I'm going to bring the opacity down about halfway, and let's just get her positioned about there, and I'll make her a bit larger by grabbing the corner, and we'll drag her out. It's a bit too large, it's a little less in here. I want her about half a head height smaller, just a little bit smaller, and that looks pretty good right there. Okay, let's put her right about here so it's a nice position and she's facing the same direction. Height looks good. Let's go ahead and bring our opacity back up to full again. Okay, now we need to remove the background from this layer. So let's zoom in and let's take a look at this, see what we have going on in here. Should be okay for most of this. It's a bit close right in here, maybe a bit close right there. That might be a bit tricky in here. This all looks pretty good. And I think we're okay clear down to the bottom actually. Maybe down here it's getting a little bit close in there on those. So I'm going to make a selection. I'll make it very close and then we'll use refine edge and we'll see how well that works out. Again, I'll grab my standard polygonal lasso tool, which gives you the most control in here. I'll start right up here on the head and I'll just make a selection right up next to the figure, not exactly on it, but just right up next to it. And just come around. It's a lot closer than what I was doing to do the removal of a person. This needs to be much closer for that. And let's come along and just do a nice little selection. Again, hold the space bar down to move the whole picture. And let's just work around. Now there's a couple of spots in here we'll have to come back onto. Little spot up there inside the hand and a little spot between the arm and the figure. So we'll take care of those in just a bit here. I can actually take those out later on. Maybe we'll do it that way, a little bit more control. Okay, just around here, and we'll see how well this works out with the refine edge tool. And right around the feet, there we go. And around this foot, there it is. And same thing back up along this side, staying in fairly close. And I think I can get quite a bit of the between arm area here, about that far. And we'll finish that top section once we have the layer mask done. Same thing for that area inside of our hand. If it shows, we'll have to see what that blends on with the background of the other picture. Okay, just pull it up along here and we'll go around this side and finish right back up at that same spot again. There we go, almost done. Right around the top of the head and right there. There we go. Let's now bring up refine edge and I'll set this for the overlay, what I normally like using. Now I like using a brush size that's about twice as wide as the area I want to brush over. This is pretty big. So let me bring this down. Let me try 5 first. That's too small. Let's try 10. 10's a pretty good size for that. It's in very close, as you can see. Let's do smart radius. Get the smart radius here of just 1 pixel so it matches my feathering. And let's do a little bit right here and see how well that turns out. Okay, that looks pretty good. So we'll go along the whole figure here and do the refine edge. And we'll see how well this turns out. And anything which needs fixing, we can fix over on the layer mask side. And that looks pretty good. Okay, see how this looks on black. Need to fix this area in here. A little bit of cleanup around the edges over there. And need to fix this area right inside here as well. Aside from that, I think we're pretty good on that selection. It's, again, a little bit of cleanup. Okay, set that back to overlay. And then come down here, output to a new layer with layer mask. Choose OK. And we'll see how that looks. Okay, position is good. I think that's fine. Let's go ahead now and clean up this layer mask. Now you can clean the layer mask just by painting right on the layer mask side up here. Click on the right hand side, look for your light blue outline, black hides, and white shows. There's my paintbrush. I need a real small brush for this. That's pretty good. You can see it's a very, very small brush. And I'm just going to do this by hand. And it takes a little bit of just care in here and just slowly come in right up against the figure in here. Like that, and I think we can just clean it out just by hand like that. A little bit of a hair was right there. We'll leave that in. And just come along and carefully clean up that edge. And if you need to be more precise about this, you can come in with the selection tool and make a selection around what you want to protect and use that to protect your cleanup. Now, the nice thing about using the layer mask for this is if I mess up, I can always bring it back in again and fix it. Let's say I came in and did that. All you have to do is just reverse your colors and then paint it with white on the same layer mask, and I can bring that bit back in again. So using a layer mask makes it very easy to correct any little problems that you might have while you're doing your retouch in here. Okay, just work along this edge and then we'll clean up all the edges. And this should work out just fine, and then I think we'll be okay at that point. Again, it's a very small brush, as you saw there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I think I'm losing a little bit right here, but that's not going to matter. I have something else coming up which will take care of that. Just a little bit along the edge in here. Now, how much repair you have to do like this on your image will depend upon the background and how well the refine edge works. Sometimes it works great, other times not so much. It really depends on the individual image. So I go pretty good along the pants here. Just a little bit right in there. I think that's okay. Looks all right down here, maybe a bit right there. Yep, there's some of the old background showing. There we go. And just work around. Let's go up in here. Looks okay. Okay, right about here, that's where it began to get soft. It was right about in there. Now this is a bit of a larger area. So this might be a good spot to come in and actually make a selection in here and then work inside the selection. Let's go ahead and we'll do that one. Start at the top up here and I'll make a careful selection right along the edge. And you see there's kind of just a softness, kind of a blurriness along the edge. That's right where I want to be putting in this selection line, is right in the middle of that kind of a blurry edge. And that should then hide it very nice. We'll take it clear down around where we see that coming at the bottom right down there where I was painting. I'll come just past that point just a little bit and then back over to this side, and then same thing over here, just staying just inside of that soft edge and take it clear up to the top again. This will then give us a protection mask. There we go. And I can now paint back in here with that black paint on that layer mask and clean that bit out very easily right in there very, very quickly. Okay, deselect, that's done. Let's continue on the right hand side over here, literally on the right hand side, on the actual hand. There we go. Again, I'm just carefully painting on this one and moving along. And I think that looks pretty good. Little spot right there maybe, and that is fine. Okay, back to fit on screen. Looking really good. Let's now get this part inside of this arm. Now again, for this, I'm going to use that same trick in here with that mask to protect that. Grab our polygonal lasso tool and to stay just inside that soft edge and work right along that edge. And then we'll paint that out just like we did on the other side. A bump right there, I'm going to take that out. Looks like a little clasp or something from our bracelet. Looks a bit odd, so we'll just clean that out at the same time. Okay, back to our brush. Let's get that taken care of. Right there. And then deselect, and that part right down here, right inside the thumb and the palm area. Same exact trick. There we go, back to the beginning. And our black brush, paint that in, and then deselect. And that's all now done. Let's go back to fit on screen. Okay, she's now properly masked and positioned. Now her contrast is off just a little bit. She's a little bit softer contrast than he is. So we need to bring our contrast up a bit. So for that, go up here to Layer, come down to New Adjustment Layer, Brightness and Contrast. Where it says Use Previous Layer to create clipping mask, check that. Choose OK. That's going to limit the control here just to that one layer that she's on. Now I want a little bit more contrast in here and a bit less brightness. We'll do a contrast first. Let's bring this up, maybe about that far, about halfway up here, and then bring the brightness down just a touch to compensate for that, just a hair. And that's looking pretty good right there. I think is a good match. Okay, now he has this brightness along this side here and right along there. We don't have that bit over here. So let's go ahead and fake that. I'll zoom in. That's pretty good. Let's make a new layer above this layer. Here we are, new layer. And then I want to use the eyedropper tool here, and let's grab a real light spot here from his arm right there. Just a light flush spot. That's pretty good. And grab a paintbrush in here. And I'll bring the brush size up a bit. That's a good size brush right there. And I'm going to paint right along that edge and kind of overlap into the background. We'll fix that in just a second. So just kind of overlap just a bit here and a bit here, maybe a little bit further in right there, just a touch. I may adjust that out a bit as well. And down here, make it a little bit random. There we go. Now go over here to our girl layer here, hold the Alt key down, and then drag the layer mask straight up. That copies the layer mask up here, and there we go. That gives us our nice clean edge, and that looks really good actually. Looked really bad without the layer mask, looks great with the layer mask. Back to fit screen. And I think we're almost there. Last little bit is we need to have a bit of a shadow in here. Now the real skinny long shadows. So an easy way to do that is just to copy this one and paste it right up here. And that's on his layer, which is right down here. Let's zoom in on that. I think we can fix some of this fuzziness in here as well. That's a little bit odd once we've zoomed in on here. Let's see if we can find out where that is coming in at. Is that on her layer? No, that's on the original layer. That's part of the original content aware remove. So let's just hide her layer right there. We'll clean that out and then we'll duplicate this. So clone stamp tool for all this stuff. Here's our clone stamp. Let's bring our size up a bit. It's a pretty good size right there. There it is. And I'm just going to come over here, grab some of this stuff, and let's just do a little bit of clone stamping in here to help blend this in a bit. And grab some of this background over here and bring that in. Just trying to match the ground a bit better. And as I like to do usually in this kind of a repair is I'm going to clone stamp from both sides and work in towards a center. That's pretty good. That's better. It's going to be in behind her at that point, but I think that is going to look real nice. If you get anything where it's duplicating like that, just come in and tap on that, just a couple little spots to clean that up. Okay, now let's come right down here to this shadow right there. I'm going to copy that and let's move that up a bit. Now I don't want to cover over any of the original with this clone stamp, so we need another protection mask, but a different kind this time. I'll grab our polygonal lasso tool and I'm just going to make a lasso just right along the edge, not real careful, just outside of the edge of the shadow right down here. And I'll take it right up to about there and then up and around. There we go. And we'll be clone stamping inside of this selection, and that protects the outside stuff. So back to our tool, I'll grab right down here like that, and I'll bring that up to match where the other shadow is. I'm just going to paint that right in like that. Just one swipe across there, deselect. Let's go back out to fit on screen and bring her figure back in again. And that looks pretty good. Let me just take a look at that. I think I might take some of this brush here and move it in to fill that spot there. It looks kind of a little weird. Right, just extend this into where her figure is. Now you can do that on this layer here, on his layer. Leave her layer visible so you can see where it goes in behind. Okay, back to our clone stamp tool. Size is pretty good. I'll just grab something over here and let's just brush that right in like that so it goes in behind. I think that will look more natural in there. Fit on screen. That fixes that. Shadow looks good. I'm going to use a special keyboard shortcut. It's the Shift, Control, Alt, and then tap the E key. And that duplicates everything onto a new layer. I can now hide all of her stuff in here. And let's see, we'll hide this. There's the original. And there is our new version. Original and new version. Now, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button, click on share, click on subscribe, check out my channel for a bunch more Photoshop Elements videos, and make sure you take a look at my complete training course for Photoshop Elements, and there are links for that right down there in the description. All right, and I'll see you next time.